everybody, and welcome to Paper Crafting with Tammy. Thank you so much for stopping by my channel today. It is awesome to see you here. I have a great project for us today that we're going to start on in just a minute. If you haven't done it yet, take a minute and hit that big red subscribe button so you see what else I've got for you next time, and let's get started.
Today I'm going to be sharing with you guys how to use digital stamps either in your card making or your scrapbooking. I honestly just discovered digital stamps. I don't know how long they've been around, but I was really excited to find out that they even existed. So I just want to share with you today a little bit about how to access digital stamps, how to store them on your computer in a way that makes them easy to access, and then how to upload them so that you can use them with your Cricut and use the print then cut feature. So I'm going to go ahead and open up my email. And I have been working with this particular gal, getting some digital images that her sister creates. And I am going to use this Daisies stamp today. So I'm going to go ahead and hit the download button. When I do that, it creates a little notification down here in the corner to let me know that it's downloading and has a message when it's finished, or at least the downloading message goes away. So if I click on this little up arrow, I can show where it went on my computer. So typically when you hit download, you've got a folder on your computer that's literally called your downloads folder, and that's where this is. But I'm going to go ahead and say show in folder. And there's that image right there. It says Daisy's stamp. So I'm going to right click while I have that highlighted. And that's going to allow me to cut that file. I don't want to leave it in my downloads folder. I want to move it somewhere else. So I'm just going to say cut. And then I am going to go into another spot. So I store things on OneDrive. And I have a file called Scrapbooking. And in there, I've created a folder called Digital Stamps. I'm going to go ahead and open that up. And I'm going to put the Daisy's stamp here. And I'm just going to say paste. So now I've got that in that folder that it says Digital Stamps. And I'm going to go ahead and go to my Cricut design space. And I'm going to share with you how to get that image. So if I go here to upload, I can say upload image and then browse. And I can go look where I just put it, which was in the OneDrive, in my OneDrive folder, in the scrapbooking folder, in digital stamps, and it's right here. It says Daisy's stamp. So I'm going to grab that. I'm going to say open. That gives me an idea of what the image is going to look like. There's a lot of details on this with all of the lines that are going to need to be printed. So I'm going to go ahead and say complex, and I'm going to click continue. When you first do this, it gives you a huge version of it, so you have a lot of detailed space you can look at. If there's anything that you want to change about the image, this is the time to do it. I am going to leave it just as is. This is how the artist designed it, and so that's what I'm going to use. I'm going to click continue. And then you have a choice to save either as a print then cut image or just as a cut image where it's just going to do the outside. Now I am going to be printing this on the printer first, so I'm choosing save as a print then cut image. That's what's already selected. I can tell by the green line, the green outline. It's already called Daisy stamp, and I'm just going to click save. Now that I've got that image, I can go ahead and click on it. I can say insert image. And that's going to put it right onto the canvas in my Cricut design space. And here I can do some resizing and get that to where I want it. I'm going to be using my images on scrapbook pages more likely than cards. So I'm going to go ahead and leave that a pretty good size. And I want it pretty big. So I'm going to go with about a 4x6. And then I can duplicate that so that I have it again. I'm going to go ahead and duplicate again. And then this one I'm going to make a little smaller. I'll duplicate that, duplicate it again, make it even smaller still. And it's okay if these are all piled on top of each other. It is easier to see if you move them around, but you don't actually have to make it work. So I'm just going to do a few of these little guys. So right now I've got two big clusters, two medium clusters, and some smaller clusters. And that's honestly all I need to do. And then I can come over and click Make It. When I do that, it gets it divided up for me into the pages that I'm going to need to print. So it's going to share with me, okay, I can do a big cluster and a couple of small clusters on your first page. On page 2, it's going to give me a big cluster and a small cluster. And then on page 3, it's going to do a couple of medium clusters. So to move forward, I would just come here and click Continue. And then I'm going to say Send to Printer. So you want to make sure when you're doing this kind of printing that you are printing in a way that's going to allow you to do what you want to with these images. In my case, I'm going to be coloring them with alcohol markers. So I want to make sure that I'm using a laser jet printer so that that ink that is being used to print, so that it's set on there. If you use an inkjet printer, it's going to bleed when you go to color your images, okay? So you also have a couple of choices here when you go to print. You can choose Add Bleed or you can choose not to. So I want you to look carefully at that image right now. It's got kind of a dark black outline. So when you say Add Bleed, it's got that darker outline around the whole image, and that's going to allow the Cricut, when it's cutting, to probably leave just a dark edge all the way around your image. If you turn that off, it's going to be a much softer line around the outside, and you may end up with a little bit of a white outline outside of your cut line. So it's a really personal preference. So I prefer to say Add Bleed, and I'm going to go ahead and leave it like that. I'm going to get these printed off, and then I'll show you how I moved on from there. Now that I've got those images printed, I've got those 3 pages, and I printed them all on just a white, smooth cardstock. Now I'm going to go ahead and get those into the Cricut to cut. So if you look at this first image, it says Print, Cut, and it shows the mat. So all you need to do is look carefully at how that page is aligned on the mat. So when you go to put that on your mat, make sure that you've got it looking just like it does on there, okay? Then you go ahead and feed it in just like you would any other project that you're cutting on your Cricut. Mine is set to Light Cardstock Plus. This is actually a pretty lightweight cardstock. I just like to kind of go 1 notch higher for insurance, I guess. You don't need any other tools other than your regular fine point blade. Okay. So you load it and you press the C, and that's going to get the project started. It is going to scan for a little bit. It's going to look for the cut lines. It's going to make sure that everything's in there correctly. And then it's going to go ahead and cut those images for you. Then you're just going to unload it, load the next one in, and go through the same thing. So I'm going to show you how these turned out so you can see why I'm so excited.
All right, so here's the collection of daisies that I print and cut on my Cricut today. So I've got some small clusters, even littler. I've got some big clusters. Okay, so lots of different sizes, and I ended up actually doing some extras, so you'll see more here than I showed on that getting it ready. But I am so excited with how these turned out. I have plenty to use on card projects, on scrapbooking projects. I can color them however I want. I got to resize them however I wanted. I could even cut some of these apart if I just wanted a single flower, but the flexibility that came from being able to resize that image was really exciting to me. So I hope that this inspired you to check out digital stamps. If you look in the description of the video, I have linked the Etsy shop where I was able to get these images. This artist is doing a wonderful job breaking into this business, so check her out and see what she's got. I appreciate your support, and I hope to see you on my next video. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button. Have a super day, you guys. Bye-bye.